Scattered across the humid lowlands of Mexico's Gulf Coast, you'll find some of the most mysterious artifacts ever discovered. 17 colossal stone heads, staring out from a past so deep it's hard to wrap your head around. These aren't gods, they're portraits of powerful men, carved with a skill that seems almost impossible for their time. They are the silent witnesses to a lost world, the last remnants of Mesoamerica's first great civilization, the Olmec, and they're holding on to a pretty big secret. How did a society that thrived over 3,000 years ago, a society without the wheel or metal tools, create and move these monuments? Some weighing more than a modern semi-truck. This is the story of their incredible journey, and the enduring mystery of the Olmec Colossal Heads. What if an ancient civilization, with no wheel and no strong metal tools, managed to carve and then hold massive stone heads weighing up to 40 tons from volcanic mountains over 60 miles away? It's like trying to move a family car using only logs, ropes, and human muscle. These aren't just statues. They are the giant, enigmatic faces of the Olmecs, and the story of how they came to be is one of ancient engineering's greatest unsolved puzzles. They're monuments to a people who left no written records to explain their incredible achievements, forcing us to become detectives, piecing together the clues they left behind in stone. Long before the Maya built their pyramids that scraped the sky, or the Aztecs founded their sprawling city, there were the Olmec flourishing from around 1400 to 400 BCE. They were often called the mother culture of Mesoamerica, because they laid the cultural and religious groundwork for all the great civilizations that followed. Think of them as providing the original recipe. Later cultures added their own ingredients, but the base was all Olmec. Their home was a world of dense jungle and winding rivers in what we now call Veracruz and Tabasco. Here they built the very first major cities in the region, huge ceremonial centers like San Lorenzo, La Venta, and Tres Zepotes. It was at these sites that the heads began to surface, starting with a chance discovery in the 1850s. A farm worker clearing land stumbled upon what he thought was a giant, overturned iron kettle. As he dug, a serene, powerful face, carved from a single, massive boulder, was revealed to the world for the first time in millennia. Since then, 17 heads have been officially confirmed, with 10 from San Lorenzo, 4 from La Venta, and others from nearby sites. Each one is a distinct individual. No two are alike. They all show mature men with fleshy cheeks, broad noses, and slightly crossed eyes, features you can still see in the people who live in the region today. But who were these men, and what drove their people to undertake such a massive effort to immortalize them? To answer that, we have to look at the evidence of how they were made. The mystery of the Olmec heads is really a problem of logistics and engineering that would be a headache even for modern builders. It all breaks down into 3 huge challenges: getting the stone, moving it, and carving it with mind-blowing precision. First, the stone itself. Every single head is carved from basalt, a hard, dense volcanic rock. The main source for this rock was the Sierra de los Tuxtlas Mountains. This is a huge clue, because these mountains are, in some cases, over 93 miles away from the Olmec cities where the finished heads were put on display. The Olmec didn't have iron or bronze tools, so how did they cut these enormous boulders, some weighing up to 40 tons, from the mountainside? Archaeologists think they used a mix of brute force and clever physics, smashing harder stones against the basalt, and maybe using fire and water to crack the boulders into slightly more manageable but still immense blocks. Then came the second, and maybe the most intimidating challenge: transportation. How do you move a 40-ton block of stone across 90 miles of jungle, swamp, and rivers without pack animals like oxen or horses, and without the wheel? The most popular theory is a brilliant combination of land and water travel. Over land, it's thought the Olmec built causeways and dragged the stones on massive wooden sledges. This would have been like creating a human-powered conveyor belt, with workers constantly laying logs in front of the sledge to roll it forward. Just picture it: hundreds, maybe thousands, of laborers working together, muscles straining to pull the colossal stone inch by inch through the sweltering jungle heat. The coordination and sheer manpower required tells us this was a highly organized society, with leaders as powerful as any modern-day general commanding an army. Whenever they could, they almost certainly used the rivers. The Olmec would have built enormous balsa wood rafts, strong enough to hold the incredible weight, and floated the boulders down the region's river networks. This would have required a deep understanding of navigation and river currents to pull off. The entire process, from quarrying the stone to its arrival at the workshop, could have taken months, or even years, for just one head. It's mind-boggling to even think about. If you find this kind of ancient ingenuity as fascinating as I do, and you want to help us explore more of history's greatest mysteries, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. It really helps us bring more of these incredible stories to light. Once the giant boulder finally made it to an Olmec center like San Lorenzo, the last stage of its transformation began: the carving. Here again, the Olmec artists showed a mastery that just doesn't seem to fit their technological limits. Without metal chisels, they used harder handheld stones, like jadeite, to painstakingly peck, grind, and shape the basalt. This was like shaping granite with a pebble, an act of incredible patience and artistry to get the fine details of the eyes, nostrils, and mouths. They probably used abrasive powders, like wet sand with reeds, to drill and polish, giving the faces an astonishing depth and realism. The surfaces were likely polished smooth, and some evidence, like traces of plaster and red paint on one head, suggests they may have originally been painted in bright colors, which would have made them even more striking and lifelike. This incredible investment of time, resources, and artistry leads us to the main question: who were these guys? Who were the suspects immortalized in stone? The massive scale and the fact that each head is unique strongly suggests they aren't gods, but portraits of powerful Olmec rulers. Each face is different, and each headdress is distinct. These aren't generic symbols, they are specific people. The headdresses are a key piece of the puzzle. They are thought to be protective helmets, maybe worn for battle or for the sacred Mesoamerican ballgame, a ritual sport that was deeply tied to politics and religion. Some headdresses even featured jaguar paws, a symbol of immense power and spiritual importance in Olmec culture. These helmets likely served as an emblem of the ruler's identity, his family line, and his authority, much like a king's crown is a symbol of his right to rule. In a society that didn't have a widespread writing system, these portraits were the ultimate statement of power, a way to make a ruler's presence permanent and undeniable. An even more fascinating theory suggests that some heads might have been recarved from huge stone thrones. Archaeologists have found that some heads have flat backs, and at least 2 of them show clear signs of being reshaped from these throne-like altars. This could represent a ruler's death and his transformation into a divine ancestor, his seat of power on earth literally reshaped into his eternal face. Even with everything we've pieced together, the colossal heads are still wrapped in mystery. For one, their story just ... stops. The heads at San Lorenzo were all made before 900 BCE, right before the city went into decline. After that, the practice seems to have mostly faded away. Why did they stop making them? Even more interesting is the mystery of what happened to them. Many of the heads were found intentionally buried. Some even show signs of being deliberately damaged before they were put in the ground. Was this an act of rebellion by the people? Was it done by a rival group trying to erase the memory of a dynasty? Or, as some scholars think, was it a ritual act performed by the Olmec themselves? Perhaps burying a ruler's portrait was a way to ritually deactivate his power after he died, like retiring the jersey number of a legendary athlete. It could have been an act of reverence, a final step in his journey to the underworld. Then there's the biggest unsolved clue of all. The Olmec didn't leave behind a deciphered written language to tell their own story. We call them the Olmec, based on a name the Aztecs later gave the region, but we have no idea what they called themselves. So we're left to interpret their beliefs through their art alone. The head, for example, was believed in many Mesoamerican cultures to be where the soul in a person's identity resided. This could explain why they only sculpted the heads, believing they were capturing the very essence of their leaders. Like a hard drive containing all the data of a person's life, the slightly crossed eyes, a common feature in Olmec art, might represent a trance-like state, suggesting these rulers weren't just kings, but also powerful shamans who could travel between the physical and divine worlds. Without their words, the stones have to do all the talking. So, what's the final verdict on the mystery of the Olmec Colossal Heads? The truth is, there isn't one single answer, and that's exactly what makes them so captivating. They're a testament to a civilization that possessed an extraordinary level of social organization, engineering skill, and artistic vision. They moved massive workforces, figured out complex transportation, logistics, and created breathtakingly personal art all without the technologies we often think are necessary for such huge projects. The heads are portraits of powerful kings who ruled Mesoamerica's first great civilization. They were announcements of authority, monuments to ancestors, and maybe even sacred objects filled with the souls of the men they represent. But they're also a profound reminder of how much of our ancient past is still a mystery. The Olmecs challenge our assumptions about what primitive societies could accomplish. Their legacy isn't written in books, it's etched into every feature of these silent, stone guardians. They prove that you need a written language to leave a message that echoes for eternity. And that leaves us with one last, nagging question. 17 heads have been found so far. How many more are still out there, buried beneath the jungles of Mexico, waiting for their story to be told? What other secrets of this incredible lost world are still waiting to be unearthed? Let us know your theories in the comments below. And if you want to keep exploring the ancient world's greatest puzzles, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.